does a country do to help its struggling economy? Introduce economic reform policies like reduce government subsidies, raise taxes, or control the prices of essential goods or adjust interest rates? Well, Zimbabwe is not your usual country. Zimbabwe, a landlocked country in southern Africa, has taken an unconventional route to handle its spiralling economy. As it reels through a 3-digit inflation rate, the country's central bank, the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe, has issued a new currency. It's called Zimbabwe Gold or ZiG. This currency is backed by gold, meaning its value is pegged to the amount of gold reserves held in the country. The ZiG will replace the current local currency, the Zimbabwean dollar. This comes as the Zimbabwean dollar has been highly devalued against the US dollar. As of now, $1 is worth over 30,000 Zimbabwean dollars. Meanwhile, the new currency has an exchange rate of 13.56 ZiGs per dollar. The ZiG banknotes have been launched in denominations between 1 and 200. Zimbabweans have been given 21 days to exchange their old notes for the new currency. However, most of the country remains unfazed by this decision. This is due to a lack of trust in the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe. Zimbabweans have seen multiple currency changes over the years. The current Zimbabwe dollar is the fourth version of the currency. Each time the old currency becomes too expensive against the US dollar, the central bank introduces a different note. The situation is so dire that many Zimbabweans don't even use the local currency. Instead, the US dollar serves as the primary medium of transaction in the country. Apart from this, the country uses 8 other foreign notes. This includes the South African rand, the British pound, the Indian rupee, the Japanese yen, and the Chinese yuan. These are so widely used that even the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe has recognized these currencies. The Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe is known for printing money. In the last 2 decades, the central bank has issued multiple versions of the local currency. The country adopted the first Zimbabwe dollar or ZWD as its currency in 1980, the year it gained independence from British colonizers. Following a period of relative stability, Zimbabwe's economy slowed down. Corruption and economic mismanagement led to a sharp decline in its economic output. The agricultural production declined and foreign investors pulled out. Meanwhile, the prices of goods in the country climbed, sending the economy into a period of hyperinflation, an economic situation where consumer prices rise by over 50% per month. Theoretically, a currency weakens due to a number of factors. This includes high inflation, high unemployment rates, fiscal deficits, recessions, and excessive money printing, among others. Zimbabwe saw a combination of all of these and more after the 2000s. To fund its finances, the government ordered the central bank to print more notes. In 2003, the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe issued its first series of low-denomination notes. 3 years later, the central bank once again issued new Zimbabwe dollars, this time of higher denominations. It included notes like 10 trillion Zimbabwe dollars and $100 trillion notes. The Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe simply printed new notes and stopped updating the foreign exchange rates or inflation rates. However, this didn't help the local population, as the country's local production declined over the years. It had to import foreign goods. People started using foreign currencies for transactions. The Zimbabwean dollar virtually became worthless. Meanwhile, inflation hit an all-time high in late 2008. This prompted the Zimbabwean government to adopt foreign currencies like the US dollar and the euro. In 2009, the government stopped printing Zimbabwean dollars altogether, and the US dollar became the most used currency in the country. This resulted in the decline of the inflation rate for a while. However, in 2019, the government once again tried to revive the local currency. They introduced a new currency named the RTGS dollar. It was also known as the latest version of the Zimbabwean dollar. However, it could not hold against the US dollar. It soon lost over 70% of its value and brought in a period of sky-high inflation. Meanwhile, people continued using foreign currencies in transactions. Now, the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe has launched the ZiG or Zimbabwe Gold. ZiG's value is linked to the amount of gold held in the country's reserves. The central bank can only issue currency notes that can be exchanged for a specific quantity of gold. As per the central bank, the country holds nearly $300 million in gold and cash reserves. The bank has said that this represents more than 3 times the ZiG currency being issued. The central bank governor, John Mushayavanhu, has said that the bank will not overprint the new banknote like earlier.
We are doing what we are doing to ensure that our local currency does not die. As I said, we were already in a situation where almost 85% of transactions are being conducted in US dollars because our local currency was not living up to the function of store of value.
The new currency comes amid a backdrop of crisis for the country. The country is plagued with sticky inflation. As per the official numbers, as of March 2024, the country's inflation rate stood at over 55%. Meanwhile, the country is grappling with widespread drought. Low rainfall has reportedly destroyed half of the country's staple food crop. Zimbabwe's President Emmerson Mnangagwa has urged the international community for over $2 billion in aid. And now, with the introduction of this new currency, the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe insists that it will help alleviate the country's situation.
Stable currency will ensure that we don't see massive price swings on a day-to-day basis. Divisibility, I didn't mention, we want a situation where you'll be able to go and buy and get change. And transactional capability, once we stabilize our currency, it will be more accepted in the economy and we should see more and more people transacting in our own currency.
However, analysts believe it's just a matter of time before the latest currency is also devalued and overprinted. As the country embarks on yet another currency reset, questions still linger on whether the ZiG will bring an end to the country's long-standing monetary woes, or whether it will simply become yet another chapter in Zimbabwe's history of poor reforms.